As I begin this video, I would like to introduce you or reacquaint you with one of some gamers' biggest line of bullshit. It kind of goes something like this. I don't mind diversity in my games. I don't mind diversity. I'm not homophobic. I'm not racist. I'm not anti-Semitic, what have you. I just don't like when companies take characters that we already love and know and they force this agenda into the characters. Why are you making Superman gay? He's not, but let's for the sake of this discussion assume he is, because some people think that. But his son is, or his son is bi. Why are you turning this character into a woman? Why is Batgirl going to be played by a black lady? Okay, they don't have a problem, they say, if with the characters. They just don't want the characters that are already what they are. Just leave those be, right? We already know those. It's just bad storytelling. It's just bad writing. Okay, all right, fine. Well, this last week, Monday, I think it was, when Sony dropped their State of Play, I think it was Monday, we have a piece of evidence to suggest, which what we knew all along, is that a meaningful percentage of the people who float that line of bullshit, I don't have a problem with diversity, just don't change the characters you've already done. That's bad storytelling. We have evidence, more evidence to suggest that that's horseshit, and I think we all knew it was horseshit, right? I'm playing this game last night, some horror game. It was kind of cool, and I was chatting, I was streaming it, and somebody's asking me about the trailer that Sony just put out for this game, what's it called? We Are OFK, okay? Which is this indie pop kind of... I don't even know what the game is. It was kind of this. There's a lot of dialogue heavy. It kind of feels very much like a. I mean, here it is right here. It feels very much like a. I mean, it's got the Life is Strange vibe, but the gameplay. Who's really to say at this point? I don't fucking know. Here's some shots from the thing, and it's probably like mini games, and it's like 5 episodes, and apparently it's semi-autobiographical, and there's a real band called We Are OFK. Blah, 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 blah. So he's asking me about this trailer, and he's like, what do you think? And I'm like, I don't know, I thought it looked kind of boring. I thought the art style was really cool, but it's just not my kind of game. But, I didn't like most of what they showed at State of Play the other day. I was just not it really wasn't for me, And then he specifically goes to this part. He brings up this part. The whole thing is obviously if you look at it, it is very diverse. It's very female-centric, if not female only, in terms of the characters and whatnot, different races and whatnot. And then you get to this part where they're in the band, and where's this person wearing they're like, what about the t-shirt? And I knew what they meant, because I knew when I saw it, people were going to have a shit fit, but I was just waiting for people to say something. Here's a character in the game who's, I guess, one of the singers, and they're wearing a Black Trans Lives Matter t-shirt, right? Okay. And apparently this has kind of upset a number of people. And so Sony today puts out their, just on the PlayStation Twitter feed, this is coming. And I start scrolling through the comments, and lo and behold, it's exactly what you would expect. I hope the game fails miserably. What the fuck was the point in this? Here's a guy vomiting or sucking a banana. I don't know which one it is. They're both clearly not, things you would want to see. Enjoy the backlash. This guy says to PlayStation, this was the cringiest and most out-of-place trailer I ever witnessed. This guy's got Steve Harvey like, what the fuck? Let's play the feud. More social engineering drivel. No other announcement in game history has left me so visibly angry. Here's more vomit. That's kind of the order of the day. This guy's like, yeah, I'm out. Like anybody gives a fuck toast, Jervis. Gay. Woke garbage. Propaganda game. The Black Trans Lives Matter shirt was so fucking cringe. Laugh my ass off. A. Cortano says, totally agree. Not even with this attempt to resemble Life is Strange with the 5 chapters. Games should be fun and intriguing, not literally indoctrination or moral imposition. It goes on. If you go over to the PlayStation actual blog where they're talking about it, same shit. Absolute same shit. Lame as fuck. This legit almost made me want to sell my PS5. More woke nonsense. So sick of far left ideology and identity politics infesting so much of the industry. All it does is divide people. Really? That's what's dividing people, Spotted Badger, you fucking moron? My wife's boyfriend will love this. Oh my God. But anyway, the reason I bring this up is, I mean, there's a bunch of reasons. It's really for me, it's a very interesting story for a couple of reasons. One is I don't even think the band is a real band. I think the band is kind of like a band version of what's her name? Hatsu Namiku from Japan. I think the band is, or like the Gorillas. This is Team OFK. Right? These are the folks who have created the game and the band and the shows. My understanding, or from what I'm gathering, they're a virtual band. I mean, they're actual singers and writers and stuff, but they're a band that doesn't exist outside of this fiction. So that's, I guess, why it's semi-autobiographical. I assume that the people who are in the band and writing the story fundamentally have these experiences that the story's written about, but they're not a real band called OFK other than this virtual version. Okay, that's interesting, first off, because I was like, oh, who is this band? And then I'm looking at this, I'm like, this person's familiar. Who is that? Why do I know this person? Let me just, before I get back to my point, let's just take a little detour. This is one of the best concept artists in the business. They are fucking phenomenal. This is Nafisa Tung. Nafisa worked with me on Drawn to Death. Here is her page. And let me just fucking tell you something. Okay, I mean, any team, just back the fuck up, I guess is what I'm saying. You're talking about one of the most talented people, one of the most creative people that I have come across in over 20 years in working in video games. And you guys, not all of you, but the people making these comments, it's like, man, fuck you. She could run and model and animate and concept rings around you stupid motherfuckers. Sit back, be a good consumer, and fucking either buy it or don't, but shut the fuck up, all right? I'd only say that, she's certain, trust me, she don't need me defending her, but I say that as somebody who has been around and been privileged to have been around her level of talent, and just to know that she's got to put up with fucking morons like you guys, it's just, it's ridiculous. I mean, look at the fucking diversity on display of her ability. It's just, it's fucking crazy. It's fucking crazy that but okay, but that's let's come back from the aside. So Nafisa's working on it. All these other folks are working on it. And the thing that really bothers me the most, this bullshit line of, I wouldn't mind if this was simply a new character. Well, motherfucker, this is not Superman. This is not somebody making Batman black. This is not somebody turning Spider-Man into a woman or James Bond into a woman. Not that any of that would be a problem for most thinking humans that stand upright and walk, but for you it is fine. I don't agree with you, but we don't have to agree. That's fine. Well, this isn't any of that. These are brand new fucking characters. Not only are they so brand new you've never heard of them, they're so brand new they don't even exist. It doesn't look like they're even fucking real. They were pulled out of the ether by this Team OFK group. And it's still not acceptable to a lot of you guys. It's still not acceptable to those people whose names that hopefully you saw big and proud that were mocking this shit. And they deserve to be called out. I mean, it's not their real fucking names, of course, because they're cowards. But they deserve to be at least called out virtually from a standpoint of, hey, this is what you think. Because you're not really saying you don't want Superman gay. What you're saying is you don't want anybody gay. You don't want anybody black. You don't want anybody trans. You don't want anybody different or anybody who makes you a little bit uncomfortable. You don't want it. So at least fucking have the fucking balls to say that is what you think. And then even though I won't respect your view, I'll at least, I have more respect. If you go onto parts of the web that are just stomach churning, these kind of like, anti-Jewish and KKK pages and stuff, where they literally sell video games where you can run around and shoot minorities. I have more respect for those developers because they at least put their fucking real names on their thing and they say, look, this is what I think. I think they're idiots, but at least they're willing. They have the fucking fortitude to stand up and say, this is what I think. You're a bunch of fucking cowards. You hide behind a bullshit name, and beyond that, you literally lie. You say, oh, I don't have a problem with it if it's a new character. Well, here's new characters. Oh, I have a problem with it. You just don't want to be around it. Now, I want to talk specifically briefly about this moment, because this is the one from my stream last night, and this is the one that seems to get most of the hackles up. And I think it's maybe because this is the only part in it that any kind of... It clearly was a very strong feminist overtone game, but when you get to the Black Trans Lives Matter, that really is I think where they kind of put a point on it and make it clear, at least that one of the characters and part of the game is sort of dealing with, or at least acknowledging, sort of the fact that these are characters that are open to this kind of concept, and that there are people in the world that are trans and they support them and their lives matter, blah, blah, blah. And I just want to say, I just want to, you may or may not know this. You probably don't, because you probably don't care if you're one of these people. But I mean, black trans people and black trans women specifically are probably, at least in America for sure, the most marginalized group in the world, right? Or that doesn't make sense, in America. In America, the violence against black trans women has gone up. I think there was like 9 black trans women killed in a month last year. In a month, you've got people who don't like women, you've got people who don't like black people, and you've got people who don't like trans people, and you're putting them all together. Could you be more cruel to someone who basically, in our society, tragically at the moment, but it will change, thank God, has the deck stacked against them? Think about this for a minute, right? I don't understand the cruelty on the part of some of you. Not you. You're probably a fine person if you're on this channel, but you know what I'm saying. These types of people. Think about this. Okay, let's just start. And my mind, it's not that it was open. I was always open to different people, but I didn't understand the trans experience as a non-trans person until I started meeting trans people. Until my son came out as trans. And I was just like, oh my God, this makes so much sense, right? But they will tell you, a lot of them will tell you, it's like, you listen to their stories. Listen to them tell you the night. Imagine if you're a dude, which most people who watch this show or this channel are dudes. Let's imagine you're a dude, but you're born with a vagina. And in your heart of hearts you're a guy, but you've got this fucking vag down there, right? You would just be like, what? It would feel alien. You would want to get rid of it. If you've ever talked to trans women who either have a penis or they've gone through transition surgery and they don't have the penis, they will tell you it's like, I hated it. I hated this thing. It felt like this fucking alien thing, right? Imagine that now. Imagine just how hard that is in this society to be that. And imagine being a kid, right? And imagine being a kid who loves video games and seeing this. Now, whether it's a great game or a bad game, all we know about this game right now is the art style is pretty cool. It's a really interesting idea, and it seems pretty progressive. I don't know if it's going to be a good game or a bad game. It doesn't seem like my kind of game. But imagine you're a kid and you see this. Imagine you're a black kid and you see this. Imagine you're a black trans kid and you see this. And you're like, oh my God, someone sees me. Right? And I live in San Diego. I've lived in LA. I've lived in San Francisco. Imagine being somebody in Iowa or Huntsville, Alabama, or, just some small town or medium-sized town, in a place that's not progressive, and you feel alone other than your friends on the internet. And suddenly there's a character in a medium that you adore, that you love, that speaks to you, and it's like, holy shit, they see me. Holy shit, I'm part of this adventure of video games too. And then imagine going to the comment section and seeing the hatred and the cruelty and the just the meanness. And when I tell you imagine it, if you're an asshole and you're watching this, imagine what you're doing to that person. People always say, oh, well, trans is a mental illness. It might be. Homosexuality used to be a mental illness. It used to be in the DSM or whatever it's called, and it got moved out. I'm sure that will happen with trans. But for now, let's assume you're right. A lot of trans people you meet will tell you, yeah, it's a mental disorder. So what? Every doctor that you talk to who's schooled in this says the best way to cure the mental disorder is transition, at least for a lot of people. Okay? So a lot of people will say, well, the trans suicide rate for teens is really high, and for trans in general is really high. Yeah. I wonder why. I wonder fucking why. A lot of these folks, forget LGBT. I mean, back when I was in college, I knew a guy, still know a guy, who was kicked out of his home because he was just gay. That's vanilla now. Oh, you're just gay, whatever. Now you're trans. A lot of these folks, and especially when you start looking at the stats of black trans teens and black trans women, it's like 40% experience homelessness, which is like 4 times the rate of a non-black trans person. Abuse, being kicked out of their homes. And you're just sitting here throwing gasoline on this fire. And I don't understand it. A lot of people who are cisgender, which is what I am and what I assume most people are, because statistically most people are, which is you connect with the physical, that you can visually see sex that you were born as. A lot of them lately are like getting behind Dave Chappelle and his special, and I've gone back and forth in this special, but where I've come out with the special is I don't really like it. He has said he'll meet with the trans community. Great. I think maybe who knows what will happen, but whatever. Like it, hate it, he has a right to say whatever he wants. I support his right, but I don't like it. But at the end of that special, if you've watched it and actually seen it, he talks about his friend Daphne, who is a trans woman who killed herself. And he says, I don't know why she killed herself, but it didn't help, and it may have been the main reason, or it may have just been fuel to the fire that was already raging, that a bunch of people, they, were, I think he said dragging her on Twitter, but were basically abusing her on Twitter, okay? So, just, doesn't matter to you? Doesn't matter to you that this could be some fucking teenage kid out there, some 12-year-old kid that deep in their heart, they know they're different. And they know they're terrified. They're terrified to come out of the closet and tell their friends and tell their family, hey, this is me. And they're a black trans teen, and they see this. And then they have a little ray of hope maybe for a moment. I don't know, but I imagine. Hell, as one of my cis, white, straight male, okay? I was represented all over the place, but whenever I saw a movie or a comic or a character about a kid who loved video games or made movies, I still was like, ooh, I got little butterflies there. That's me, right? So imagine being a kid like this who never sees themselves represented in this medium. And then imagine going to the comments and seeing all the shit you guys are spitting on these people. I want to say that you should be ashamed of yourself, but I think you need to really parse that language. When somebody, people say you should be ashamed, it's so cliche it doesn't register. But think about what that means when somebody tells you that. You should, but you're not, feel a sense of shame according to the general society by the way you're acting. You should be ashamed of yourself, but you're not. I don't know why that is. Maybe you're a kid. Maybe you're hurt too. Maybe you're bullied too. Maybe you're just fundamentally broken. I don't know. But you should be ashamed. And I hope someday soon you will be.